Is this the buggiest launch of a full release Football Manager that has happened at least in the last 4 or 5 years? Let's talk about it. Hello, my friends. Welcome in. I have yet to figure out a good way to do this, and I haven't put out a video in a couple days because I've been thinking about it. I really need to upgrade my PC. I've got the components sitting right over there. You can't see them. But I have been really disheartened, to be completely honest with you, about Football Manager. And there's no way I have figured out to not make this sound like sour grapes. It is what it is. I have some genuine concerns, or maybe just doubts about the game. And that kind of takes away some of the enjoyment, as I'm sure you can understand. So I thought it would be maybe relevant if I went through all the bugs I have personally reported and kind of explain why that leads to doubt on my part. Because, okay, so let me just put this out there. I understand developing software is hard at its most basic level. I've done some like very low level web development, and that's hard. Now take something like that times a bajillion, right? Bajillion lines of code and it's supposed to be simulating real life when really it's using some aspect of random number generation and, you know, those types of things. I understand it's not easy, and we're in the middle of the second year of a pandemic, and developing code remotely is hard. Like, I do understand that, so I'm not trying to throw people under the bus, you know, without like trying to be logical and go like, I get it. Like, I get that there are challenges, but sometimes things just, they put out a patch last week, about a week from the time this video is coming out, and it broke some stuff that wasn't broken before the patch. And stuff like that just, it leads to doubt on my part as a player, because you go like, why was that? Like, explain to me how you fixed something way over here and that broke this thing over here in preferences. Like, I can understand, like, they, you know, for example, like, people have reported that near post corners were like broken, like too many of them were working, and so they made some adjustments to like fix that. So like, I can understand stuff within the match engine. I kind of separate these things out to like stuff in the match engine and the rest of the game. And I understand if you're trying to like perfectly replicate match engine football, right? Like passing and new animations and, you know, those types of things, like that's hard and is gonna probably take some tweaking. I can remove myself from that and go like, I get it. It's the stuff outside of that that's still inside of Football Manager that I just don't understand, to be completely honest with you. So let's kind of review. And the reason I have it on this screen is the first thing I've run into after that patch on December 7th is I'm using this monitor here that my webcam is mounted to is a 2K monitor, which is 2,560 pixels by 1,440 pixels, like 2K resolution. I record and play the game in 1080p, which is 1920 by 1080. Not a problem, right? I load the game and I'm like, like this, you see how tiny the text is on like most recent and what's new in FM? That's because it's giving me the 2K view. And I'm like, okay, like that's weird that reset, but like I'll just go in and change my preferences, right? So you come to preferences and you go full screen and you go 1920 by 1080, blah, 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 hit confirm. Yes, I'd like to keep that. And it loads the data image for the new skin and it works until I load the game again. So it'll stay in 1080p until I exit Football Manager and come back in and it's back to 2K. Now you're going, gee, that's like, dude, like it's just a preference. It's a resolution thing, go in, whatever. But as a player, you go, if you can't keep my resolution preferences, what else is broken in the game? Like, that's just my personal feel, is like, that is such a basic thing. Like, user has selected this, keep that. Oh, we can't do that. Why? If you can't keep that, what else is broken is where my head goes. For example, let me just call this out. Yes, I save by episode, and it's saved on the finances screen because I want to show the finances screen. So just in case you're like, like, are you save scumming? Nope, I save things so I have episodes and can hop back and forth to like show stuff on my content. So the second thing I immediately ran into after I fixed my resolution and got into the game is these sections of the home screen. We're back to what I guess is default. So like it's got like it was like this. It was something like injury news or medical center was here, or like job performance. Like, it doesn't really matter what was here. It wasn't how I have it. I've always had league table and player stats, and honestly, I can't remember now what the third one was, and then finance and salary. And it changed that. And here was the confusing thing. I would change this back to player stats because I've always had player stats here. I'm used to it. That's what I like. That's what I want to see. And I would click off the home screen and go back, and it would be back to whatever the default was. And you're like, anything that makes the user, the player, me, go like, am I crazy? Like, I did just change that, right? Like, what am I doing wrong here? That's a problem. And this is a new thing as of the patch on December 7th. So I put a bug report on the SI forums and got a response. And the response led me to this. You see that second item there above the checkmarked one that says use autosaves? The one above it says automatically override custom panels. I have never in a million years, I didn't even know that was an option. Let's be completely honest. This was automatically checked. So when you do that, we reload the skin. We're going to do it live. This is what the default looks like. So you can come in here and say, I don't want match preparation. I want whatever. I want manager performance there. And then you click on the squad and you come back and it's back to this. Do you see the problem here? So again, it leads you to believe, I'm coming back here because I had it checked. I'm going to uncheck it and go back to confirm to show you that then it works and it does keep this. So like, shout out to preferences that like, hey, remember those things you had selected? You can now keep those, unlike the screen resolution thing where every time you load the game, it is going to be something where you're going to have to fix that in preferences, which is ridiculous. At least that is an easy fix, except the fact that like, then you have to ask the natural next question, which is like, in the patch update, why was that automatically selected? And again, I understand software is complicated. There may have been some reason, like 16 issues that way, that, oh, we didn't realize that would make this thing automatically select that. I do get that. But from the user standpoint, you go like, it looks like you've just accidentally left that on in preferences in like whatever the build was for the patch and forgot to uncheck it, which leads to confusion in your player base. Like, so stuff like that, it just plants seeds of doubt in my mind. Let's go look at some of the other things from prior to that patch that I haven't really tested if they're working or not, but it goes to show like, I don't understand why this was broken in the first place. The very first bug I reported, again, prior to this patch, this was as I was playing after the full release of the game, was the provisional contracts disappearing. Which to me, like, Sports Interactive likes to say, we want to put out games that are like, you build immersion. These are you're telling a unique story, da-da-da-da-da. What happened in the code base of Football Manager between FM 2021 and 2022, where all of a sudden provisional contracts disappear? And again, maybe it's a Bundesliga thing because it's a licensed league and they made some changes with contracts. I don't know. But that is game breaking. And I was really glad that I had saves from my episodes where I could roll back 3 weeks into the middle of the transfer window, or it was like in December before the transfer window opened, so I could re-sign all of my youth prospects to actual contracts again. And then they still fell off in like March and I had to redo it again. But to be clear, for those of you that haven't seen that video, essentially, you know how you have a youth prospect here, Christopher Schossler, 65 a week, and you want to sign him to a professional contract, or maybe you've got a player that you want to extend their contract as end of season rather than an immediate, they would sign a provisional contract. And I did that with like 10 youth prospects. And then in the middle of the January transfer window, all of a sudden my players were getting picked off for compensation deals, right? Where like RB Leipzig signs a player and you are due 600 grand in compensation and you can do nothing about it. It wasn't a transfer offer. They just stole them, which they shouldn't be able to because they had a provisional contract. And then you go look at the player and the provisional contract is gone. Game breaking. The garage door is going off if you can hear that. But it's like, that's game breaking. Why was that changed from FM21? What bug? And again, I understand there's probably something deep within the code base that like I don't understand, and there's a logical explanation, but it's not okay. Like, it's not okay that is broken. Next up, the set piece interface screen, which honestly hasn't changed from what I can tell since I've been playing FM, which unlike some of you, is only been since FM 17. So like, fair play. Maybe this is a little bit of an update could be used here, but like, okay, you're trying to figure out, should I put my AML there as going back, or should I put my striker who's 6'3"? And then you hover over the striker. Wait, maybe it's fixed. Nope, you hover over somebody else. You see that? You see how the striker is highlighted? And then I hover over the AMC on accident. Now the goalkeeper is highlighted. I'll do it one more time. We'll do it nice and slow. I'll pick another one. MCL down here. I'm going to hover. That works, but if you do it fast, it highlights the goalkeeper and all the attributes change. And you're like, wait, who am I clicked on? Who am I clicked on? Oh, see how that hops around? Why? Why does that happen? It makes it incredibly difficult to figure out which player you're actually clicked on, because by the time you click on the player and then you go look at the attributes, you see how like it's even on the same player, right? Hey, we've got our striker's attributes up, and then I hover over him quickly sometimes, and then it goes to the goalkeeper, and you're like, wait, are those the right attributes? Why is that broken? So are you getting the theme here that like it seeds lots of doubt? It's like you can't even, you haven't enhanced the set piece screen, right? Like this looks like last year. It's got the same near post, far post, 6-yard box, go back, blah, 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 blah options. But now for some reason, if you hover over a couple players, it's defaulting back to the goalkeeper. And it does it on the attacking pieces too. It actually defaults, I think, to the set piece taker. You see how it switched there? And now it's hovering our MCL with his 14 corners, and I wasn't looking at him. I was like looking elsewhere. So it's like, you haven't enhanced this screen, and now it's broken. That's putting seeds of doubt in players' minds like me. All right, some of these is just easier to show you the bugs I've reported on the SI forum. So transfer history bugs. I think I talked about this in one of the episodes, but players that were transferred in to Schalke in the first team, they weren't transferred into the second team. They transferred into the first team. If you ever moved into the second team and then sold them, they disappear from the ins on the first team, and they never show up on the outs. On top of that, I had a player, right? We sold Blendi Idrizi here to HJK in Norway. Yes, I think it's in Norway. And you'll notice here, it puts the season as season 2022 because they are a January to December timeframe for their calendar year. If you clicked on that and then you went back to your transfer history, it would push it to 2022, 2023. Even though, like, the time I reported this, it was, I don't know, October, November it wasn't the 2022-23 season. So it's defaulting to the next season because this league is on 2022. This league is now 22-23, which is next season, which we're not there yet. And so that's wrong. And not only that, it's showing all of the pre-save transfers from July as being in 22-23. Like, what on earth? What on earth? We had also, so this is the end of season contract stuff where I'm showing Leo Weikert here, provisionally agreed, and then all of a sudden we're in the January window here, and that provisional stuff is gone, which is ridiculous. But we also had loan extensions. Okay, so we had Joe Gelhardt, who we had for free, and then you go to do an extension. I'm sure this text is really small and can't see, but this red text says the loan will go through in the next transfer window starting on Friday, July 1st. So in theory, we should have Joe on his current loan deal, zero per week. We're not paying wages. Leeds, thankfully, paying for all of them because we are broke. We got $200 million in debt, friends. But they wanted 13.5 for the next loan. You know what? That's next season. That's fine. Guess what? Goes into effect. This is at the end of April. I was trying to extend before we hit the summer window, and all of a sudden Joe goes off to someplace else. All of a sudden we're now paying 13.5. That's broken. What is going on there? There was somebody else reported that they, if you have in tactics, you can have players swap. So what you want your Sadio Mane and your Diego Jota, your center forward or your left winger and your center forward to swap positions throughout the game. That's fine, except that they get stuck. So I had my attacking 10 here swapping with my MCR, which you can't see, but behind the screen. But you can tell right here it says 4 MCR. If I went to make a sub, or if I tried to push that 10 up into like a 4-4-2-2 or 4-2-4 scenario where I had 2 strikers, I couldn't sub a player on because it was forcing me to select an MCR role, even though they're in a 10 or in a strike position. Like, I could go on, my friends. There was an end-of-season team meeting thing where I said we want to consolidate and essentially stay up, and they essentially took it here as I might have been a little overeager by suggesting that we could win the title. Let's see, where is it here? All right, maybe winning the title is a step too far for now. So like sorry, I was scrolled up. Right here, it says, all right, maybe winning the title is a step too far for now, but I'm sure we can avoid. And I didn't say anything remotely about winning the title. I do understand software development is hard. Okay, I do get that. And I understand even going from the beta to a full release. Like, if a beta is 2 weeks long, there's no way they fix all the stuff that is uncovered in the beta in 2 weeks. It's not possible. Right? It's just not possible. I think about the number of people that are playing and the bug reports that are coming in, just categorizing all of that into some sort of succinct list, I'm sure is incredibly challenging. So I'm not trying to throw stones at SI, but when things that haven't been enhanced from the previous year, okay, this screen right here, stop working correctly, that plants seeds of doubt. When contracts disappear, that's a huge problem. Provisional contracts disappearing is a huge problem. When you roll out a patch and all of a sudden the home screen cannot be modified because for some reason in the preferences it's now automatically ticked to override that, that's a problem. When you roll out a patch and I can't save my resolution when I start the game, it just, I don't know. It just makes you go, as a content creator, like as a player, I might be like, you know what? I'm going to play like 4 games today. I'm going to change my preferences. That's annoying, but like, you know, is what it is. But as a content creator, you start going like, what? If they can't save the preferences, what else is broken? Like, it just makes you wonder what else is broken. And maybe, again, this probably sounds like sour grapes because our team can't score goals right now. Like, and we weren't scoring. We were scoring from set pieces in the Zweite Bundesliga. Yeah, so maybe that was part of the thing that got patched. But like, I can't score a goal. So maybe it sounds like sour grapes. Like, oh, like if you're just complaining because you're not very good at FM. I was like, well, that's not really it. I'm not ever said I'm an expert at FM. I like the narrative and the story. And maybe that's what I'm so jammed up about is the narrative and the story gets jammed up when all of a sudden you offer contracts to players and then those contracts disappear and then those players get poached. Like, I think that's a fair criticism. So, again, like, it makes you feel a little crazy. I felt a lot better when somebody else, you know, popped into the comment about the home screen or the bug report on the home screens and was like, hey, check this. And then you go, like, maybe you're thinking, well, maybe you just accidentally clicked it in the preferences. Like, the odds of that happening is 0 because it was literally, I recorded a bunch of episodes and then I took several days away from FM and I loaded the game after the patch, and the first thing I noticed was the resolution not being correct. And then when I loaded the game, I immediately went, well, that's not my home screen. So it's not, I didn't go to preferences and make changes. That didn't happen. So again, I don't want to just be like whinging. Like, I'm sure some of you will watch this, Meg, you're just whinging, you know, blah. But it just, get it together is really, like, I think, okay, I'm thinking of criticisms I could be getting here. It's like, well, you have an affiliate link for the game. I do think the game is beautiful. I think the match engine changes, like the animations, I still think it's worth it to upgrade. It just feels like, I guess my honest opinion here, it feels like Sports Interactive have made enhancements to the game, which I understand are probably planned well in advance. Okay, so this isn't like they just decided to do this yesterday. Like, I'm sure they have release cycles where they're looking at their list of things and going, next year, like for right now, they're already like coding next year's game. Maybe even the year after. I don't know. So I get that. And it seems like they've made enhancements to things like network saves and online play against other players, because that's what they've gotten feedback from with content creators, right? Like all the big names are doing that. And fair play. I'm not saying like it's entertaining. It's the SI is trying to make their game appealing to a wider audience. They've got hundreds of thousands of people watching those content creators and whatever, and that's great. In those modes, though, you don't have as many issues about like, you know, I'm thinking about like the drafts, right? I'm not thinking about network saves because this would apply to network saves, but like in the drafts, you don't have to worry about contract links, right? You don't have to worry about contracts disappearing. You're drafting players. So it's like, it's great that they've made enhancements, but it's like if all of your development energy goes into making enhancements, and then like things that weren't broken last year that are pretty fundamental to the playing of the game for a vast majority of your user base are suddenly broken, that's not okay, in my opinion. So all of that to say, I hadn't put out a video recently because all the stuff I had pre-recorded, I kind of ran out. And I've been trying to upgrade my PC. Again, like I got a bunch of parts, and I partly am upgrading my PC so I can create content for Foot Manager videos, which is hilarious. But I was really disheartened. Just like, I just need to take a break. I just need to take a couple days away, not put something out, because I was very, very frustrated. So this has been probably way too long. It's probably like a 20-minute video. I meant for this to be like a 10-minute video. I'm curious if you've run into any bugs. Do I sound like a crazy person? Does it make sense? Hopefully you'll keep watching. I am going to record. We do have the DFB Pokal final against Dortmund, and then there's going to be a long transfer window, so it may not be like episode. I'm working on it. I'm back in the saddle. I appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time.